Coming up, we're going back to Pandora, but is the third installment of Avatar the best one yet? Stay tuned to find out.
My people cried for help. But Ava did not come.
Welcome to the Morgue, where we dissect the latest and greatest in the world of entertainment. I am your host, Arturo Padilla, and with me always is Mr. Nick Valdez. Tex, how are you, buddy?
Howdy, everybody. Howdy, Arturo. Man, we've got a big one. We've got Avatar Fire and Ash. Like, James Cameron is back, baby. Here he is with this third one. We're off to Pandora again, just as Arturo said. But this time, after everything that happened with Way of Water, honestly, you kind of might need a refresher, just as like a little heads up here. I don't know if Arturo agrees, but yeah, because this one just kind of takes place immediately after Way of Water and just assumes you remember what happened, you know?
Yes, I definitely 100% agree with that. The only difference is that I saw I saw Avatar 2 probably like a week before or so. So my recap was nice and fresh, but I definitely agree. We jump right into it with it, and a little refresher would have been nice, especially because so much happened in Way of Water,
Yeah,
right, Tex?
yeah, that's exactly it. Like, so much happens in Way and Water, and so much also happens in Fire and Ash. So Fire and Ash, taking place after Way and Water. Lots of stuff happened. Sully and Yatiri are still kind of like in the wake of losing their son. The Sky people are still trying to take the whales, and Piecon's been exiled, and there's all sorts of stuff,
Yeah.
little developments that have been happening. At the same time, there's a whole new race, I would guess, a new tribe of Navi called the Ash people, with Varang, who's the leader, played by Una Chaplin, who is Charlie Chaplin's granddaughter, which is sort of like kind of like a wild thing, right? Like, because you hear Chaplin and you're like, oh, but you, in my head, I'm like, oh, Charlie Chaplin's like 1900s or something. I would never kind of like connect the dots, but that's a wild thing too. So good for her. But you have Varang here introducing a whole new element of chaos. And all the while, Kiri is going through her own thing where she's trying to connect to Awa, the planet, and she can't. But then, you have Loak, who the Sully's son, who's also like, his brother's dead, but he's trying to figure himself out. Then you have Spider, who found out that Quaritch is his father, and there's all that stuff happening. And all the while, everyone's still very much in danger. Like, this is kind of the thing. And even just kind of trying to summarize everything in one go, it's like, there's a lot. This is a hefty movie.
Yeah,
right,
it's a bit
like
much.
this.
Yeah, it's a bit much. And that honestly is one of the cons,
Yeah.
slash gripes, slash maybe downfalls, whichever way you want to look at it. That is one of them, because of the fact that you need to watch part two and you have to have full knowledge of everything that has happened
Yeah.
prior to this one to be able to get immersed back into this Pandora world. And without that recap, you're kind of at a loss, because as we said earlier, right when we started, that this kind of just throws you right in. It throws you right into a memory where Loak is pretty much connected to Awa and to the network, and he's having one of these dreamy kind of I'm not even sure what they call it. It's when they connect and they can see their past ancestors and
Yeah.
yeah, and
Which
everyone who's died. So he's like pretty much hanging out with his brother in the beginning of the movie. And like that's for me, that's fine because I'm aware of exactly what happened. So in my brain, it's a direct connection, but that is a big concerning issue if you are not so in tune to Pandora the way me and Tex are.
Yes, and so that before even getting to the review, like you kind of have to talk about the cultural impact of it, right? Like this has been a debate about Avatar since the beginning. Like, oh, okay, these movies come out, they make billions of dollars at the box office, and then they leave. And the argument there is that, oh, they don't have any impact on culture despite everyone and their mother literally going to see these movies, right? So, and with the first one, the first one it had a cultural impact, but not in the way you would expect, right? Like it was so successful, and not to start Avatar as like a big franchise, it was so successful that it changed theaters, right? Like if people might remember at this time that this is, it was so big that 3D movies thought they could be a thing in theaters. Like
Yep.
it started a whole trend. Like it literally changed the culture in how we watch movies. And then Way of Water comes out 10 years later, and it's such like a technological marvel compared to that first one. You're like, whoa. But then at the same time, James Cameron is also like, here's the real story I've always wanted to tell. And you're like, oh, there's a story on top of this, right? And with that second one, that's where it's like, okay, you kind of need to know your names and your facts and your figures, right? You need to know your names of the planet. You need to know they're the Navi. You need to know
Hmm.
the Sullys. You need to know the kids' names. And that's kind of what ties back into Fire and Ash, where it's like, okay, these things, we might watch them and kind of forget about them like every 4 or 5 years. And then we come back, we go back into the world, and we're like, okay, here we are with the Sullys again. But it's even more important this time, like Arturo said, to kind of remember details. And that is, like Arturo said, that is a flaw, because we kind of weren't asked that in Way of Water. Like in Way of Water, you were kind of just like, okay, we're going to back to Pandora,
Hmm.
and
Yep.
here's the Sullys, and we're introduced to the Sullys, and we get the story that way. It was kind of like a fresh perspective, right? But with this one, because it's such a direct continuation to Way of Water, because it's like it's the Way of Water Part Two, which is, both the pro and the con. In terms of like pro, because Way of Water was great, right? It had a great story, and we're like, oh yeah, can't wait to see more. But then also it's like, oh, you expect us to remember all this.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not like we're going to a brand new adventure in the
Yes.
world of Pandora, like we did from part 1 to part 2, you know?
Yes.
So in part 2, we went from the forest and everything, and then we went out into the water, and we experienced all that. So initially going into it, way before we even saw a trailer, I had thought that they were just gonna be doing that in this whole franchise. But
Yes.
here we have a connective story from part 2 to part 3, and a connective legit. And from every little detail from the Piacon stuff, especially, which is such a kind of B story, or actually C story in the whole thing, maybe, that like it still plays a huge part in part 3. So a little recap would have helped. All that said, folks, let's get into it, right, Tex? Let's
Yeah.
get back into Pandora here, and let's have some fun with the Sully kids, right?
Yeah, it's so funny breaking down all this stuff beforehand, because then we have to get into the new movie itself, right?
Yeah.
It's like you it's such like a weighty thing that you have to literally tear through the layers to even be like, okay, we have to look at this movie and judge it on its own merits. So that's the thing, right? Like you kind of have to like well, it's Arturo's job and I here for the buddies at home for the morgue. It's to just, okay, we're literally going to deep dive, we're going to dig into the guts and find, okay, like we have to judge it outside of everything Avatar that as like a thing, and we have to be like, okay, but does Fire and Ash succeed? And on that basest form, I'll just start by saying I think it does, right? Like I'll lob it to you, Arturo. But first, I'll just say I do think it's a good movie. Like I think like part of me still kind of prefers Way of Water, and we'll get into that when we get into details. But I think this is good. Like it's a great movie. I think James Cameron had like I think the
He's
madman, like
back, baby. He's
he
back.
he is kind of back in a way that's like unforeseen, right? Like
Yeah,
I
he's
think
he's a mad
I
scientist in
he's
all the
figured it
right
out,
ways.
dude. He's figured it out.
Because apart from trying to advance the technical aspect of filmmaking, he's also here giving us this crazy universe. It's a universe, not
Yeah,
even a world, it's a universe.
yeah.
And there's more to come after this, which is even like it's hard to even fathom because the amount of time and effort spent on these movies is crazy. But James Cameron really is a genius, a technical know-how kind of guru, and that's what he loves to do. And ever since Terminator, he's been doing that. He's been upping the bar for himself and the standard for Hollywood blockbusters, ever since then, especially in science fiction. And Avatar is absolutely a prime example of that. Aside from him using all that practical stuff in Terminator, you guys remember that, right? Everything was primarily practical. It was wild how much practical stuff he did there and in Aliens as well. And now he went from the practical to the practical computer work because now you
Yeah,
have these
God.
engineers, these software engineers rendering real live action actors doing stuff on set in water. It is absolutely a
Yeah,
monumental feat in this production. And if you guys seen any of the behind the scenes stuff, you guys will know how much James Cameron loves to do this. And you get it in his movies. You feel it. You feel the
yeah.
emotion. You feel the passion. And honestly, I have to say, just real quick before I say why and we break it all down, I really enjoyed Fire and Ash more than Way of Water did. But to Tex's point of enjoying Way of Water did all the heavy lifting for me to enjoy Fire and Ash
Yeah,
the way I did.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's exactly the perfect way to put it. Like, because this is, for all intents and purposes, yes, it's a part two to part two, but this is a third movie in a trilogy. So that's the other thing too. Like, Cameron and team did not forget that Fire and Ash is a part three, and it's meant to feel like the third film in a trilogy. And in that sense, it really is like it's bigger, it's huger in scale. Like
Mhm.
when you kind of get to the third act and you get to that war,
Yeah.
and you're like, yo, this is, it's literally the biggest thing he's ever done in an Avatar movie, and it's got so many like literal pieces involved in that war that's like, yo, it's just as Arturo said, the technological stuff. I think like we can praise it all day, but you kind of know what you're getting into, right? It's
Yeah.
like, yo, this is, it's gonna blow your mind, it's gonna look incredible, and you're gonna be like, yo, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And honestly, yeah, like it's still wild that like even though that there's not as big of a technology jump between part two and three, it's wild that there's still moments in Fire and Ash from like, yo, this is this like it's still kind of breathless. Like there's a scene where they're all in the river in particular, where like, yo, like they're in the river and you get the river like just like right in front of you, and it's like how do you even pull that off, right? It's like it looks like real water, and you're
Yep.
like, there's no way they did that in actual water because they're in the performance catcher suits, and you're like, but it looks so well done in like how it's managed to do that. You're just like, this is, man, technology. But then
Yes.
even
The
then,
text,
right?
like, they actually did perform all that in water. Dude,
Yeah, this was nuts. Yeah,
all these actors were trained with a deep diver in order to hold their breaths minutes on end to actually shoot these scenes underwater. So, like, they have this huge tank, this huge capture tank where they're actually, like, acting everything out with their whole capture suits on, and it's so interesting because on the water you have all these little capture bubbles, and
yeah,
that's how they get that awesome realistic water look to everything. And it's just, I can go on and on about that.
yeah,
It's so awesome, man. It looks so
yeah.
great.
And it, these technological feats, they would be impressive with regardless or not. But like I think what really helps, and what really helps the runtime, is the fact that you're actually interested. And that's the thing, like that's also kind of like one of the big cons of Ash and Fire, is that if you didn't like Way of Water, if you didn't like that story, then you're not going to like it here. That's kind of
Yeah.
like that's something we have to say. Like if you didn't like Avatar and you still don't, this one's not the one that's going to win you over. Like this is for I mean, I hate to say it, but like this is for Avatar fans. Like I hate
Yeah.
saying something as cheesy as that because you're like, oh, uh
But I mean, you're right though, Tex,
like
right?
that's yeah,
It's
it
over
is.
3 hours, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you have to be a fan of the filmmaker and or of the brand in order to sit through 3 hours of movie, regardless if you're sitting through battle, like one battle after another, which is also 3 plus hours, or if you're sitting through a Marty Supreme, right? Or if you're sitting
yeah,
through Avatar, or if you're sitting through Harry Potter, like the fans of the filmmakers and the actors involved will always sit through that. It's like we said in our coming attractions episode. Go check that out if you guys haven't, and go subscribe too if you guys haven't. That if you make the movie, if you make something good, we will come out to see it. And this is no different, especially if you got a chance to see this in IMAX 3D the way I did. I believe Tex also had a chance to see it in IMAX 3D.
yeah,
And boy, like it is absolutely the best money you can spend going to a movie theater. A lot of movies tout this IMAX thing, this 3D thing, but there are very, very few movies that actually take advantage of that technology. And Avatar and James Cameron is one of the filmmakers that takes absolute advantage of every little technical feat that IMAX throws at
yeah.
him.
Yeah, the dude just knows how to make
Yeah.
movies and he knows how to make entertaining movies. And that's the thing, right? Like he knows blockbusters. He knows like how to make a movie that will hit every little beat of the audience. And it's wild with Fire and Ash in particular because there are some dark things here, right? Like there
Yeah.
there are talks of suicide and not even like there are moments where this might happen. There are moments that where it kind of gets real biblical where you have Jake almost, full spoilers from here on out, but
Mhm.
you have Jake almost trying to kill Spider because it's like this would save all of us. But then he's like, "Am I going to sacrifice my son, Abraham style?" Right? And it gets you get these real intense moments, and the technology and like all of that would not hit as well without the performances. I think everyone kind of hits what they're supposed to. Everyone's really doing a bang up job. I think on the weaker side, you do have like Spider. Unfortunately, this movie does focus on him quite a bit because this
Oh,
is kind
Spider.
of his movie, and it sucks because, the movie starts with Loak, the middle son, as like, oh, he's narrating since this is going to be his movie. So maybe he's getting the big parts, right? But then he kind of like and he goes on this big journey to like go find Pyacon. But outside of one cool scene where we like see him like swimming up like giant waves and stuff, he kind of like he doesn't really have an adventure, right? Like
Yeah, he
outside of
falls
that.
to the background a little bit, like Tex said, for the favor of Spider and the
Yeah,
story, unfortunately. But that is one thing I was not a big fan of. I really love this movie, but the Spider
yeah,
story of it all was, in my opinion, like just not good. Like I
yeah,
didn't like it at all. I didn't like how much it took you away from the sully of it all and the actual conflict at hand. And then the way things worked kind of got you thinking a little bit too much of how this whole Avatar, Pandora, Navi world actually works, which is not
yeah.
a great thing. You know what I mean? I don't want to sit there in the middle of a 3 hour movie thinking about, well, how is that possible if ba 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 ba? You know what I
Right. You
mean?
don't want to like with an Avatar movie, you don't want to get caught up in logic, right? Like you
Yes.
within like these are fantasy epics,
Fantasy.
right?
Yes.
And so you want to go in and be just like, you want to it's like Arturo said with any of these long movies, like it's like you're watching Lord of the Rings, right? You let's say you're going into Return of the King. You're like, all right, I'm going in for 3 hours. I'm going to, I want to go see the ring blow up and all that stuff. Like I want to see the big war, but I'm not
Let's
about
see
to
it blow
sit
up
there and think about like, oh, how did the eagle get there? Why didn't they just ride the eagle the whole way?
the
Right?
entire
No,
time.
you're
Why
not gonna
didn't they just send them from part one? It
yes,
would
it's
have
like why
saved a
did they
lot
just
of trouble.
you could have flown the eagle to Mount Doom. I don't think that would have been, but that's the whole thing, right? Is like one little thing like that will take you out of the fantasy, and
Yeah.
that's unfortunately Spider's part in it. There's so much that happens to him. Like he gets the Kiri's powers are also developing at the same time. So there's a lot that's like,
Yeah,
okay,
her
you're
story too, and they're intertwined, their story, Spider's story and
yes,
Kiri's story. So, I'm not a fan of both. Kiri's story, was always a little bit, not on par with the rest of it ever since Way of Water. So if you guys are not super familiar, Kiri is pretty much a clone, you can say, of a Sigourney Weaver's character, her Navi character from the first Avatar.
right.
Where she died, but then Awa and the forest took her back in and everything, and then all that stuff happened, and then it gets very very mystic, very
Yeah, like
very
it's
muddled
like
in there. You don't want to really think
that's
about it.
it's the biblical stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
she's the Jesus, like she's the child of the planet God, right? And it's like, okay, like that's one of those things where it's like, okay, Avatar, you're kind of pushing it with your lore a little bit, right? And it's like, and
It's low
at
hanging fruit,
first,
honestly. Yeah.
yeah, like at first it was just a cool idea. It was a cool way for James Cameron to keep Sigourney Weaver in there, right? Because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, when you see Kiri and what she does in this movie, you realize, oh, this is why they didn't want just some kid being Kiri. Like, because oh, clearly Kiri is going to play a huge role in whatever 4 and 5 are going to be, right? And at this point, I do want Avatar 4 and 5. I will just say that straight out. Like, why
Or
not? Like, we'll get these every 5 years, and we're gonna love it. But it's like, oh, you see it now, and you're like, okay, that's why he didn't want just some he could only trust Sigourney Weaver with
yeah.
such a weird ask, right? And it is. And you always watch her and you're like, oh, it's weird to hear this 70-year-old woman's voice come out of a teen. But then it's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's all starting to
It's like
that's
watching
part of the whole
it's
that's
like
part of the
watching
whole
Stranger
thing.
Things, right? You see all these old
Yes.
kids and they're supposed to be kids. You know what I mean? But yeah, that always text always threw me off ever since We Have Water. Just hearing Weaver's voice coming from Kiri
Yeah.
always threw me off. It was always a thing of like, did we really need to go with Sigourney here?
Right, right. And and now that it's part of her story that, oh, okay, she was always meant to be like super outsider because she's like super AWA or whatever.
Super
Point
able.
of yeah, point of all that tangent too is just like, okay, there's a lot of good complicated stuff and there's a lot of bad complicated stuff in this movie, but you kind of have to take the good with the bad and also just part of the fantasy epic.
Yeah.
And but at least the good complicated stuff is good, and I think this is where Fire and Ash is at its strongest when it comes to the new villains and the kind of and the layer that they add onto it. Like Varang, she's the leader of this Ashen tribe, and she is kind of like she's such like a big introduction that she's already kind of taken over online. Like it's and you and Cameron gives like and Chaplin scenes here in this to like really kind of introduce Varang and to the point where we remember her name. That's the other
Yes.
thing too, right? Like this is also like because with the Sullys in the first, like in Way of Water, we were like, oh yeah, that's I don't,
That's Sully's kid.
yeah,
That's
that's
Sully's
Sully's
youngest.
kid right
Yeah,
there.
that's Sully's oldest.
Yeah,
That's that Sully boy over there. Yeah.
yeah, that's Sully boy. But with Varang, it's like, oh yeah, that's Varang,
That's
and
Varag. Yeah,
she's
absolutely.
introduced as someone. Her tribe was destroyed, and Awa didn't help her. So she's like, okay, well, screw Awa, screw the planet. I'm gonna do whatever I want to do, and her whole thing is fire and burning down, the world basically. And man, she starts this thing with Quaritch that kind of like, Quaritch too. He's back. He's alive after part 2, and he's more complicated than ever before because now he's
Yeah.
like, yo, he spent all this time in this Navi body compared to his older self, and he meets Varang, and all this stuff starts happening. They like kind of find a kind of like a sexual tension too on top of that, which is and
Big
it's just
time.
there's that fire tent scene, Arturo, I think was like the best scene in the movie, the best because it's like you get their dynamic
It's
and then
so
what
good. You know
happens.
what? Like, dude, it's so good. And that scene in particular, reminds me so much of a sequence from Apocalypse Now where Martin Sheen's character is also getting seduced. It really reminds me a lot of just that kind of movie, Platoon, Apocalypse Now,
That's
especially with
exactly what
Quaritch
it
and
is.
Varang's relationship.
Yeah.
But back to Varang, I really, really enjoyed her character. I do wish, though, that her character stayed prominent all throughout the third act. She kind of falls a little bit to the background to give way to Quaritch's story a little bit more,
Yeah.
which I'm not really complaining about because that's honestly my favorite part of the movie. But Varang is such a great character with such presence that completely steals scenes, especially when she's introduced to the weapons of the sky people, the
Yeah.
blow torches and and the automatic rifles, and she's having so much fun with it. It looks great on the screen. And one thing that's really cool is that when she was telling her story, you can go back to the first Avatar when, the army completely bombed their tree, their sacred tree in the forest. That was where the Ashen people originated from. And I think that's such an awesome storytelling thing, especially if you are a fan of these movies like I've become. And clearly remember that scene where they're just completely bombarding that tree and turning it to absolute ash. No pun
Yeah.
intended, you know?
Yeah. And Arturo's right. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's like it's the fan that we've become with these movies, and that's also part of Fire and Ash's strength. It's the fact that with this third movie, we now get this entirely new layer on top of the Avatar story that wasn't there before. That it's like, oh, it's so good to see a plan coming together, right? I think
Mhm.
that's the most satisfying part of it because you're
Yes.
like, oh, you see Jake Sully and Quaritch, you see their dynamic now in this third movie, and you're like, oh, they're meant to like, it's like, oh, they really are like indeed great rivals, like great
Yeah,
movie
fight
rivals.
forever kind of thing, legit.
Yes, it's the Kevin O and Sami Zayn of Fight
Yes.
Forever. Like, yes, they might be on the same side sometimes, they might be, but then there's this like there's this begrudging respect between the two of them almost, right? But then it's like, no, given the chance, they will still kill one another.
Yes.
And it's such like a cool classic movie thing that we haven't had in such a long time.
Yeah, you know why though
Especially,
too? Yeah, because, we earned this relationship too, it's an earned relationship that we see here in part 3 because of what Tex is saying, like, over time, they have built these scenes together, and if you
yeah,
go through the movies, they have a lot of time on screen. And when they're on screen, they're really building that dynamic all the
yeah,
way from part one, where Sully betrays him, and he sees it as the ultimate kind of, stab in the back. And this is why he's hunting down Sully for life because of the betrayal. And it's a personal thing with him because then you get into Way of Water and it's like, hey, there's Sully and there's his kids. Like, I'm here for one thing, and it's Sully. And it continues into part 3. I am here for one thing. And like Tex was saying, their dynamic is one so back and forth that yeah, I'm here for Sully, but I also have to help him out real quick,
yeah,
because
yeah, because
I
he
can't
has
let
his own.
this happen.
Yes, he has his own son to worry about now too, who's also being taken care of as a Sully. And then on top of that, you have the whole thing with Varang that has him going like fully native. Like,
Got him
yes,
going crazy.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, Quaritch's big thing in here, which makes him super interesting as an antagonist, as a potential protagonist. Like, I kind of see that like this is one of those things where like by Avatar 5, when he finally does like die for real, like I think it's gonna be sacrificing himself for Jake Sully. Like I think it's gonna be one of those things, right?
Yeah,
Where
I
it's
might
like, yeah,
cry.
he Quaritch is going through such like a big change. And in this one, he's like, oh, he's because he's in a Navi body for so long compared to when he was a human, it's like, oh, he started to lose that part of himself. But at the same time, like he's finding this part of the Navi because his whole thing was like, yo, he's the classic, like kind of staunch general type that you see
Yeah.
in like the war movies, right? He's like, oh, burn them all down. I don't care. Kill them all. But then now that he's in the Na'vi, he hates the Na'vi because they're like, I mean, they're a bunch of hippies, like
They
without
really
saying it, right?
are.
They're a bunch of like they love nature, they're
They're the forest
ritualistic.
people, you
Yeah,
know?
they're the forest people who worship like the planet. And he's like, yo, I've had enough of this. I'm the military, right? He's like, I've had enough, burn it all down,
I
whatever.
had
I'm
enough
here
of this
just to get.
granola shit.
Yes, and but then he sees Varang, he sees the Na'vi, and who are like basically like, yo, they're conquerors. They are
Yes.
there to take. They are there to burn things down just as he wanted. So he's like, oh, these are people who like, and that's where he started to resonate, and this is how he
Yep.
started to change. And it's
They're my
so
kind of people, you know?
yes, and it's so interesting
Love
because
it.
yes, like it's the classic like people call it problematic of like, yo, it's the white guy going native and becoming like it's ever since Avatar was compared to Dances with Wolves, that this has been this idea at the central of the entire franchise. This is your white savior coming in to save the indigenous people because they live amongst them, and they're like, oh, the indigenous people are not crazy. They have great ways, and
Yeah, they're great culture and all this
yes,
other stuff. But also, like, I think that yes, it's very low hanging fruit, you could say, in terms of storytelling. But I think the point of that is to emphasize the Navi, you know, and their
yes,
story and their world and how they live. It's like, and seeing that Jake Sully and now Quaritch himself, he's like, oh, wait a minute. There's something to this. You
yes,
know what I
and
mean? There's
that's
something here that I
yes.
didn't see before. And
Yeah,
that's the point
it's
of this movie.
yes. Yeah, it's the twisted mirror to Jake Sully realizing that, oh, these like I'm not here to kill these people. They have a lot of stuff going on. And then now you have Quaritch on the other side of it going, oh, well, I can burn everybody else, but these people are cool,
Yeah.
and that's how
Cool. You're cool.
yes. Yeah, and that's how it starts. And that's kind of the whole thing. This is the whole idea. Like, yes, it's you can say it's problematic, which I've heard of like, oh, he's the white guy going native and the white guy, but no, that's the whole point with
Yeah.
Quaritch. That's the whole thing of like, no, you're supposed to laugh at him when he comes out in his full war paint and he doesn't see an issue with it. But it's like, no, yeah, like it's like, no, you're putting on a costume. Like this
Yeah.
is, and
Especially for him too, right? Because
yes,
again, if we go back to when he was, a human, a live action Stephen Lang playing Quaritch, he had this hate for the Navi. So to
yes,
see him embrace the culture the way he does in Fire and Ash is like a revelation for his character because it's like, hey, he finally gets it. He found his people. He found his tribe,
yes, yes,
and
yes,
I think people are missing that because
yeah.
that's been ingrained in this basic story since the first one. So if you feel that way, then you definitely missed it. Like
Yeah,
you,
and
you definitely missed the point of it. Yeah.
because this is the point,
Yeah.
and by Fire and Ash, it's gotten to a point where we can add these layers. We can add, and Stephen Lang is like able to be Stephen Lang and be
Hmm.
like, okay, add these little layers to him and all these lines, and you're like, oh, okay, you can. And Quaritch is like an antagonist now. He
Yep.
is worthy to be an antagonist. Like now we're at the point where I'm like, oh, Jake Sully rules, and with Avatar, I did not remember his name, right? Like I was like, yo, that's Sam Worthington.
That's
He
Sam
was
Worthington.
he was just the actor of the time. He
Yeah.
got lucky and he got Avatar right when he was getting Clash of Titans and all that other stuff that was working out. And then this is the one that hit it big for him, right? But no, now I'm like 3 movies in. I'm like, yo, Jake Sully, the Sullys, they rule. I'm like, I'm ready to watch like 20 more of these. This is the thing. Like, this is the thing from the beginning that I wanted to emphasize. It's like, yes, you need to remember key names and you need to remember what the planet name is and you need to remember like what these Navi's names are. But at the same time, like, I think it's at the level of story now where like you kind of do, right? Like
Yeah.
I think it does enough to where through these movies that by the end of the third one, I'm like, oh yeah, I could point one out. Like, oh, Naderim is the one that died in the other one. Oh, that's they, I forgot Kate Winslet's name already as I'm trying to point out characters' names I remember, but like,
Or as The Thierry called her the witch, so I'll take that
Yes,
one.
like yes, and it's like we oh, I remember Varang and stuff like that, where it's like, yo, like these, I think, and like Arturo said, with yes, it's low hanging fruit in terms of themes, but that's a blockbuster. Like, let's not
Yeah,
forget that, right? Like, this is James Cameron making a movie. James Cameron knows how to appeal to the world, right? Like,
yeah,
James Cameron does not make he's not making $10 million in the theater and calling it a day. No, he's there.
exactly.
He's there to like take over the world with each of these movies. And
There wouldn't be a Disney ride for this thing if it wasn't making money and it wasn't attracting eyeballs. You know what I mean?
yes,
Like
yes,
like there is an audience for this, and this is why it's still making money, and this is why it will continue making money. And just like the Harry Potter universe, we learned a heck of a lot of names from that universe. You know what I mean? Like, and I still
yes.
know them, because I was a fan of that universe, like I am a fan of this universe, and I am learning these names. They're not as easy as Ron and and Harry, but these characters are special, and James Cameron has done a lot of work building them up to the point where we're talking about them now. Like, yes, these are characters, and you need to know their names because they are important, especially if you're going to invest your time in this universe. Because,
Dude,
folks,
yes.
every time you jump into this universe, you're not there for only 30 minutes, 90 minutes. You're there for a good chunk of time, and you're invested pretty much half a day there.
That's exactly it, Arturo. I think that's the perfect point to like round out our conversation here. It's I think these would be worse off if we were getting these on the level of Marvel, right? Let's say this was a Marvel movie. Let's say it's an Avengers type event, right? Like we're okay, we got Avatar 1 with Avengers 1, right? And then like 3 years later we would got Avatar 2, and then we'd be like, yeah, that was fine. But I think it's these movies, they can take 3 hours in the theater if it means like, oh yeah, we're waiting 5 years in between them, and each time they've been
Mhm,
great, right? Like,
mhm.
it's hilarious thinking back to that. For like, it's made $6 billion, I think, in total as a franchise, like as of this past weekend. So
Wow.
like, or as of the time we're recording this, $6 billion. And that should tell you that no, like, it's worth going in for 3.5 hours if it means investing 3.5 hours every few years and getting an awesome movie out of it.
Yeah.
Sign me up for however long Cameron wants to make these. Like, it's hilarious, right? Thinking back to part one, when part one came out, that one did well. That one started getting like news of a sequel, but then James Cameron out from the jump was like, "Yo, I'm planning to make 5 of these," and I know like like Arturo and I have been on record many times on this show and on many other episodes in the past, like going 5 movies. Come on, what are you gonna do with five? But now,
Yeah.
like, I'm at the point where I'm like, oh, are you gonna stop at five? Because like,
I'm like, why don't
because
you keep going,
honestly,
you know?
yeah, honestly, I'll take I'll take the Kiri saga or whatever they wanted. Like, if he wants to keep making them and everyone's still down, it's just part of it, wrapping my end of the conversation here once more. Part of the bittersweet pill of it is like, oh, is this all James Cameron's going to do for the rest of his career, right? Because it's like, oh, you can't imagine like what other maybe ideas he might have. But on the other side, the silver lining is that if he's dedicating all his time to this one idea, at least we know, guaranteed at this point, he's 3 for 3. At least we know that they're all gonna be bangers.
Yeah. And with that said, folks, you guys know how we do it here at the Morgue. There is stay away from it, meaning do not even bother with this thing. There is wait for it, meaning you can wait for this movie to drop on your streamer, watch it in the comfort of your own home. And there is pay for it, which is go get the streaming trial or go pay for a movie ticket ASAP and watch this and enjoy. And Tex, I'm gonna roll it to you real quick. What did you think of Fire and Ash? I think it's pretty
Yeah,
obvious.
I mean, easiest pay for it I'll ever give. Like, pay
Yeah.
for it. Like, this is movies, right? This is cinema. This is like, yo, if you want the biggest bang for your buck that you'll ever have, see this in your biggest screen possible. See this, at the most deluxe price that you can get it. Because honestly, dude, like you're And that's the thing too, right? Yeah, 3.5 hours might sound long, but if you're paying $20 to sit in that seat and to get the 3D glasses and to get the full IMAX experience, 3 hours seems like almost shortchanging you,
Yeah,
in this
absolutely. You
economy.
are getting your money's worth. And I have to agree. This is probably the easiest pay for it that will kind of drop all year because um I'm just thinking real quick. That's why I just had a brain fart. And I'm thinking through my Rolodex of 2025. And this is
Yeah,
literally the easiest pay for it, without a doubt, that we've spoken about here. And it's just a testament to the quality of movie that it is, that, like Tex mentioned, watch it in the most premium format that is available to you and your budget. There are many formats. You can watch it IMAX, IMAX 3D. You can watch it regular 3D. You can rock it standard. There's a way for you to watch it. Go out there, go watch Avatar Fire and Ash. If you have not yet, we really recommend watching Way of Water just so
oh
you
yeah,
can catch up
absolutely.
on all the adventure of the Sully family, because it is quite important. And That said, folks, just before I leave this conversation, I just have to say the amount of action in that third act
Yeah,
alone is worth the price of admission. They definitely saved a lot of their budget for that third act, and
yeah,
it is worth every single penny, Tex.
yeah, absolutely. It's a war. Like straight up, like, oh, this is the war that you've been building to for three
Yes.
movies. And like,
Yes.
it's there's a
It's
lot going on, but
war.
it's so awesome. It's just like, it's awesome. Like there's like a jailbreak too on top of
Yes.
that. And you're like,
Yes.
there's
Yeah,
just so
it's a
much beautiful.
very entertaining, like, legitimate blockbuster movie, popcorn, whatever you wanna call it. It's that.
Yeah, it's
Go
just
watch it.
go
Um
see it on the big screen. Like
oh,
this is one
yes.
of those where it's like
Yes.
don't wait for it to hit Disney Plus. Even if you have, we say this all the time, right? Like I know I'm really rambling, but I just want to emphasize those. Like no, we say this all the time. Oh, you can just wait for it at home. You can watch it on your big screen, and it'll be fine. But this one is like no, like make sure to like you have to go. This is like no, you go pay for the theater ticket.
Yeah.
Like just do it.
It makes such a difference too in terms of the quality of viewing. It's and you can really see how impressive all the advancements that Cameron's made with this technology. It's something very, very
Go,
impressive.
you got to see Varang on the big screen. I think I'll just say that too. Like you got to
Hot
see it on the big
Varang.
screen. You
Yes. I can't wait to see more Varang Part 4. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for listening. This is The Morgue, where we dissect the latest and greatest in the world of entertainment. I am your host, Arturo Padilla. With me always is Mr. Nick Valdez. A big shout out goes to Mr. Delvirus and his awesome, awesome artwork throughout all the years here at Corpse Feed and The Morgue. And a big shout out goes to you guys for listening. Do not forget to subscribe down below, hit the thumbs up, hit the bell, and do not forget that we are still on your streaming in your ears, anywhere you get your podcast. Leave us a review. We'd highly appreciate it. And most importantly, folks, always remember it is a scary world out there, but we are here to walk you through it.